feel like I've seen the European Championship strategy used somewhere else before.
What is this? What is this? Where's all the money? That's as good as money, sir. Those are IOUs. Go ahead and add it up. Every cent's accounted for. Look. See this? That's a car. 275,000. Might want to hang on to that one.
Welcome back to the channel. I honestly cannot believe that we are talking about the European Championships again so soon. I made a video a few days ago talking about the latest updates that had been sent out to the athletes. Some of you may have seen that. And then just yesterday, the Morning Chalk Up, they put out an article and a post on their Instagram talking about those updates as well. And obviously a lot more people saw that, which is understandable. A lot more people know about the Morning Chalk Up than know about my channel. And that is why I would ask, no, maybe even beg that if you could please share this video around with as many people in the CrossFit community as you can, particularly those in Europe and the UK, because I honestly am concerned that if people don't know about this situation, well, then it is a disaster waiting to happen. Because today, a new email has been sent out by the European Championships. Some people have been kind enough to send it to me as well. I could not believe what I was reading. I am going to share it with you all a little bit later, and it's only a couple of paragraphs, but I already have some issues with some of the things that are said that I'm not quite sure are accurate. So we'll get to that in just a minute. Before we do, a very quick recap on the current situation. So an email was sent out to all the podium athletes that were owed money, saying their plan is to put on an even bigger event next year. They have an even bigger, more ludicrous prize purse than this year. And not only are they going to be able to fulfill that one, but then also the money they generate, they will use to pay back the athletes that are owed money. Now, if that all sounds too good to be true, it's because it is. In fact, when the Morning Chalk Up put up their post about it, the comment section was just flooded with people that could not believe what they were reading. People that were saying, this just sounds like a Ponzi scheme, a pyramid scheme. He shouldn't be allowed to run another competition. In the comments section, we saw a lot of recognizable names chime in. We had Coffee Pods and Wads. Even Arm & Hammer made an appearance. And looking at people's stories, those who chose to share it, you had people like Taylor Self, Make Wads Great Again. To be honest, I don't think I've ever seen the CrossFit community so unanimously in agreement about something. And that something was that this is a bad idea. And all of that was based on only partial information, because in the Morning Chalk Up article, it didn't mention the media team that hadn't been paid, the judges and workforce that were promised money and hadn't been paid, the venue that was still owed money. Or those that are saying he should never be allowed to run another event in the future, well, they were unaware of the OCR competition that's coming up shortly. But of course, I'm sure many of you knew that because no doubt you will have gone and watched my video, right? Well, it seems that not only are the European Championships unable to pay their athletes and workforce, but they're also unable to read the room, because they've sent out a new email today. And as I said, a couple of them sent it on to me, and I cannot thank them enough for that, even if it did almost give me a heart attack and mean that I had to quickly record and edit this video. But without people sending me things like this, it's really difficult to know what is going on behind the scenes. So why don't we just look at some of this email together? I'll put it up on the screen, but I'm going to be reading it from my phone. Evening Tech crew, I hope you are all well and having a solid start to the week. Below is the latest update on the current tech situation. The email below went out to the podium athletes last week, and so far the response has been massively in favor of the proposal. In fact, there has only been one rejection so far. I'll stop you there for a second. The responses have been massively in favor. Only one person has said no. Well, I've spoken to a number of the podium athletes that are owed money. One actually sent me a copy of the email they'd sent that was a definitive no. Another athlete informed me that they hadn't actually said anything yet, but it was a definite no from them as well. And one even claimed that they were just being ghosted, so I'm not 100% sure what was happening there. But I would also add a little caveat to this, that even if the athletes all say, yeah, let's go for it, because obviously they've got an incentive, they're owed money. Look at the community as a whole. Nobody thinks this is a good idea. So even if the athletes want it to go ahead and you want it to go ahead, if the community don't want to get involved, who's going to be going to this competition? Because you need more than just the podium athletes to sell 10,000 tickets. Let's go on with the email. Therefore, it looks highly likely we will be going ahead with this, and of course the details in the proposal itself also apply to all crew who are owed money too. So they plan to go ahead, and good news, they also plan to pay all the crew back as well. So let's just add that to the amount of money they need to raise if they do this competition next year. They've got to have enough to pay out the prize purse that they're promising. They have to have enough to pay back the prize purse of this year. They have to have enough to pay all the volunteers of this year, to pay any volunteers they're promising money to next year, if that's what they're going to do, the venue itself, and probably the list goes on with things that I can't even think about at the moment. And then it goes on to say more details on the new competition structure will follow, but the target will be to use revenue from the online qualifiers to start making these repayments to yourselves and athletes. So this, I think, is a big issue, because the plan is to use the money from the online qualifiers to pay back the athletes in the workforce. But do people signing up for the online qualifiers know what happened this year? And then if they sign up and that money is then dispersed among people that are owed money, and then they see that they're not going to have enough people to do the competition, they're definitely not going to have enough spectators, so they pull the plug. What happens to that money? It's gone now, right? And it just means instead of them owing one person a couple of grand, they owe many people £20. And maybe the idea is, well, if they only owe them £20, they're not going to kick up as much of a fuss as that one person being owed a few £1,000s. But you've not solved the problem, you've just dispersed it among more people. And that's why I really ask that if we can just share this video around with as many people we know that might be thinking about signing up for an online qualifier for something next year, because I just don't want to see people losing money. But hey, let's play make-believe for a second. I mean, the European Championships seem more than happy to do so. Let's imagine that they do put on a competition next year. Well, then there's a really interesting paragraph that was actually in the email sent to the athletes. I just want to read the first line because it says, not only would we make key operational improvements for the event experience itself. Now, the reason I think that's an important line is because since people were already speaking out about the European Championships because of this money issue, it meant more people felt free to say, I guess, what they really felt. And we heard a lot of criticism about the event itself, both from those that were taking part as athletes and especially the workforce. And again, if you go back and watch the original video I did, I touch on some of the problems that judges were facing. So it was a bad experience all around. And speaking with judges, for example, many have said to me that they would never go back. In fact, some that were there on the Saturday had such a bad experience that they actually went to judge at another event on the Sunday. So my question would be, well, how do they plan to improve the experience? Because we know that judges, well, there's a finite number of people that are willing to judge and travel and help out at these competitions. You've also got to try and sell 10,000 tickets. So we can't have everybody there judging because otherwise you're not going to sell the tickets that you need to get the money to pay everybody back and kind of solve this big problem that we're in the first place. And even if a judge had a good experience there and maybe their friend told them it was a good experience, so they decide to go back and judge again, if you know that maybe half the judges are not coming back, that is a recipe for a day where you are overworked and have a bad experience. And if you think about that before you go, you're probably not going to go. And then let's think about the fact that the media team weren't paid. Only 1.5 MCs were paid. So who is coming to help make this a better experience? If you had trouble to do it this year when you were in a position of strength, how are you going to do it next year when you're already starting in a very negative position? And I know at this point I'm sounding negative, and generally I try to be as impartial as I can. I really want that the athletes and the people that are owed money get the money that is owed. But what I don't want is just that list of people that are owed money to grow. And that's what I'm afraid might happen. But as always, sound off in the comments what you think. I mean, is this a plan that's so crazy it might just work? Or is it just crazy? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I promise I actually have some really positive videos planned to come out soon, so stick around for that. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. I promise you it is not all doom and gloom in the CrossFit community. Thank you once again, and I hope to see you in a future video.